Some people are still at the registration desk. In the meantime, I can see that our colleagues online can see and hear us well. Please put something in the chat box or give us some reaction. Just a minute. Let's wait. Good morning, everyone. We are happy to welcome you at this forum dedicated to the start of the medical procurement cycle, which starts every year. Thank you very much for joining our today's event, because we are very well aware of the fact that transparent and reliable procurement rules are the prerequisite of procurement efficiency. My name is Alexandra and I'll be moderating today's event. But before we start, let me make a couple of housekeeping announcements. Number one, we will be talking in Ukrainian language. At the same time, the participants may benefit from the simultaneous interpretation into English, and please grab the headset if you need them. The event is being recorded, and afterwards you will get all presentations, instructions and links to the recordings, provided that you have given us your emails at registration. And now some details about the event. First, my colleagues from the Medical Procurement of Ukraine will summarize the activities in 2023, and then they will cover the peculiarities of the centralized procurement in 2024. Then we will have a Q&A session. You will be able to ask all questions that concern you. Please don't hesitate to ask your questions, because we would like our meeting to be as productive as possible. An announcement for colleagues who are listening to us online: please send your questions in the chat and definitely we will answer them. Afterwards, we'll hold a panel discussion with the participation of the leading business associations of Ukraine. This discussion will be devoted to the interaction between the business and the authorities in the context of the centralized procurement. I would like to extend gratitude to SafeMed project for the support of this event. Let's commence. With that, I'm ready to hand it over to the General Manager of the Medical Procurement of Ukraine, Mr. Adam Adamanov, and Rebecca Kohler, Chief of Party from SafeMed. Good morning, everyone, once again. First, I'll say that I'm really grateful for your presence. And I always answer the question about what we have been doing after the start of the full-scale invasion. And the answer is very simple. We are here, and all other companies involved in medical procurement are still here. There is not a single company that had refused from operations after the start of invasion. We are grateful to our soldiers. Due to their efforts, we can continue our operations and ensure the supplies of medications. I'll cover the details of the last year's operations in the presentation. So with that, I'll hand over to Rebecca Kohler for a welcome address.
Greetings, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Rebecca Kohler, and I'm the project director for SafeMed. You've heard our name perhaps in the past. We are a USAID-funded project designed to help Ukraine improve access to safe, quality medicines, and hence MPU is one of the key partners involved in receiving our support. SafeMed has been supporting MPU since its inception in 2018, and have been thrilled to see how it's been a key player in health systems transformation here in Ukraine. going to use some of my notes here. I just want to say that MPU has made important strides not only over the last 5 years in its evolution, but the last year has been a really remarkable one, despite the war. And I just wanted to share some of the achievements that MPU has made, in large part because the incredible expert team that they have and the support of many collaborators and partners, including SafeMed. The first is, impressively, MPU purchased medicines and medical commodities last year on behalf of the ministry in last year's procurement cycle, over 9.2 billion hryvnia. That includes, of course, the treatment directions that you're aware of, such as adult oncology, cardiovascular, and many others, and new this past year, vaccines, as well as important diagnostic and treatment equipment, such as the linear accelerators that you've heard certainly Adam talk quite a lot about on Facebook, as well as 28 MRIs and many, many other equipment. In addition, MPU has continued to grow its capacities, as many of you know, through completing a merger last year with another state agency. They created their in-house medical supply capabilities through its own vehicle fleet. This greatly strengthens their own capacity to be a supplier. Another important thing relevant to this supplier audience here is they're continuing to be able to ensure their ISO certification. And last year they had their annual audit of 37005, be able to demonstrate their ability to continue with their strong global anti-corruption practices. Another important achievement that I believe relates to some of you as suppliers is the incredible achievement in the advancement of the Prosuro Market e-catalog. Last year, as you know, e-catalog became mandatory for many essential medicines, and through that, the e-catalog figures in 2023 were over 90 times greater than they were in the previous year. This platform, many of you are on it, has ease and effectiveness for its suppliers, and as the end of last year, over 1,200 qualified suppliers were on e-catalog. The success has demonstrated to the government the necessity of expanding the number of mandatory medicines and medical commodities. So soon there will be over 400 medicines on e-catalog required and approximately 100 medical devices. All of these are achievements, and there are many more, but I think for the task at hand is to talk about this year's, the 2024 procurement cycle. I'm really happy to congratulate all of you as participants in embarking on this. And this year, we know that there are 24 treatment directions that MPU is responsible for, exceeding last year's value in 12 billion hryvnia. So there's a lot of work to be done, and with that, I just want to congratulate all of you. I'm happy to be here and wish you luck today and throughout the year.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Едеме, тож пропоную тоді розпочати.
Okay, Adam, then please open the forum. Tell us more about the achievements, changes, and plans. As mentioned, Alexandra, I have some good news for you. You should not make any pictures from the screen because you will get all the materials. We are always open in terms of given our statistics, and we publish information on many platforms. Mainly we will inform you on our interaction and perhaps some challenges if there are any, because we are here to plan the next year's cycle. I can tell you that it will be seriously different from what you have experienced before, so please don't hesitate to approach us with all your concerns. But unfortunately, the clicker doesn't function. Now it does. That's it. Okay, I think everyone knows us and our activities, but still, some people can be newcomers because people come and go, leave the country, change the field of activities. So briefly, I'll explain what are we engaged in. We ensure the healthcare institutions. We provide these institutions with the necessary medical supplies, including medicines and medical devices, medical products. We also organize the accounting of medicines by means of various tools. We launched the MedData system. And we realized then that we have to scale up our activities, and then we changed the model. Previously, the needs were submitted to the oblast level. Now the healthcare institutions submit their requests directly, and thanks to our partners, we developed the e-stock program. It's very powerful. There are still some issues related to the reference materials and various kinds of registers and catalogs, and there are also some catalogs for accounting for medicines. There are so many these catalogs. We are also modernizing the infrastructure and logistics. Maybe some of you know the state enterprise Ukrmedpostach. We merged with it, and today we are the same legal entity, Medical Procurement of Ukraine. We've got our own warehouses and our own fleet. We realize that we have to modernize this infrastructure. There are, of course, licenses and GBV certificates. Nonetheless, we would like to modernize because there are some bottlenecks we would like to get rid of. Hopefully, within the next 3 years, we'll get the international GBV certificate. It will be crucial for further cooperation with the international companies. We also developed the procurement area for the healthcare sector by means of various tools. We apply lots of instruments in the procurement, and we are pioneers in many aspects. Other suppliers and procurement agencies try to replicate our experience. There is, for instance, a new agency. This is the Ministry of Defense, in particular. They also are involved in procurement now. We procure also the supplies for the most affected institutions. Perhaps the programs will be expanded, the needs amount will be growing, and there will be more partners willing to help Ukraine. But still, there are not too many organizations that are able to manage procurements in a transparent and efficient way. We hope that our capacity will suffice to manage all that. So, regarding last year, we procured over 700 unique positions of medicines and over 30 positions of medical equipment, and it's also important to mention the transactions managed via United 24. We work ad hoc by means of this system. We're very grateful for support we enjoyed from Ariba. I'll explain you why. We've got an incredible team. Starting with the category management and ending up with the logistics unit. We have scaled up our activities via United 24. We have so many suppliers and we manage so many transactions. It's not possible to continue working via telephone or emails. That's why we registered with the new tool RIBA, and we are very grateful for that. Currently, we procure some items and it's very easy now. We can update the information on the offers and prices with the 1 or 2 clicks. It seems that the competition has ebbed, but in fact we worked seriously in another system which is not as open as Ariba. In Ariba, we see the medicines and the prices. Bidding for us is just 10% of our operations. But we immediately know what medicines we need and what the optimal price can be. So then we can also set the expected price when we announce a tender, and you suppliers can offer us the bids meeting our expectations. So we are also proud of the fact that in Ukraine the budgeting cycle does not prevent the hospitals from receiving the medicines. Previously, the medicines procured, let's say, in 2022, were received by the hospitals in a year or even in 2. We managed to cope with these difficulties, and half of the nomenclature we ordered in 2023 was delivered in 2023 as well. Everyone said that it was not possible. Everyone said that it takes at least 8 months to deliver because of the stock amounts, because of the shelf life, and so on. But we proved that everything is possible. We just place an order and we deliver. And I hope that the rate of the delivered medicines will be growing and hospitals will be receiving everything on time. As regards innovative medicines, we're really proud of the year 2022 because we concluded lots of managed access agreements, and we also ordered one innovative molecule. Other molecules were procured via Prozora, but managed access agreements enabled us to increase our efficiency. As regards 2023, we are slightly disappointed. To put it frankly, we have negotiated quite a lot, but not all the negotiations were efficient because there are also other stakeholders and parties in the negotiation process. There are some lessons learned. I hope it's not timer. It's timer, sorry, it's not the alert. So, we are glad that the Minister of Healthcare supports us. So we agreed that we will develop clear criteria which will be reflected in the respective decree. If the molecule meets the criteria, then there will be a contract. If it doesn't meet the criteria, we are not going to waste anyone's time. At the time of the power discretion, it was very difficult to make progress with innovative molecules. What expects us in 2024? We are going to procure the new molecule against Kawasaki disease. Then we would like also to procure equipment for the prosthetic of the hearing organs. It's something new for us. Unfortunately, a big number of people require such type of prosthetics, and it's a huge challenge for us. I'm sure that we will cope. It will be, of course, difficult, but we need cyclotrons for production of medicines. Some time ago, we used cyclotrons in Feofania, but the technology was slightly different at that time. You may remember that it was 10 years ago, and now the situation has changed. There are lots of transparent and independent institutions, but the projects are very slow because the more stakeholders, the slower the projects. And we started the consultations about building a pharmaceutical production with the GMP certification, with all permits and licenses and so on. And now it's difficult to imagine that some oblast hospital will get a GMP certificate for some part of their premises, but we are not going to stay idle. We hope to be successful. The same is true for the diagnostic equipment and so on. You are going perhaps to ask me questions about VAT. You won't be privileged anymore. I will tell you, there are many reasons for that.
We competed to keep this benefit in place, but unfortunately we weren't able to. So the IMF, among others, said that there won't be any new benefits for Ukraine. But in fact, in our passport of the budget program, we have this this VAT component. The patients will receive the expected quantity. We haven't received specific answers from the Ministry of Economy, how they see it in the Prozoro system. We designed several options, whether it would be tenders without VAT, or we will definitely find legal and technical mechanisms. But I would like to assure you that residents and non-residents will be equal. There will be no discrimination. And just as before, when you were equal, everybody will, it will be the level playing field for everyone, because residents will be paying it in the contract, the non-residents abroad. From what we hope the market will positively receive is the 3-year contracts. We've tried to obtain this right for years, and finally we have it in the resolution, and it's with also concerning with the MAA, and now it's possible. So we will finally have 3-year contracts in place. There was this desire, the striving across the field, but we understand that we cannot have the new rules all at once. So we have priorities such as the oncologies, the cardiovascular diseases. We will definitely pilot this in these fields. We understand that there are some situations where it makes no sense, where, for example, the patent is running out or something, some other factors. So wherever possible and where the market is absolutely clear, where you can easily forecast the amounts, it will be in place. So where we have historical data, where we've been working for a number of years, we can definitely verify it. So we will be moving on to the 3-year contracts. Of course, we will have a special formula, and we understand that the way it's going to look in the future will be different from what it is today. And lastly, this is the DAP. The changes in the conditions of deliveries. So we need to support our economy. And the Ministry of Finance had expectations to us, and they hoped that we would be pushing the market, opening offices, opening warehouses, paying taxes here in Ukraine. But in fact, it's not that easy, and it's not always that the companies under wartime conditions are ready for this, but we will definitely be pushing markets for it, where we have high competition, where we have representation, where we have a number of distributors, and where we understand it won't influence the prices. Then we will definitely work on DDP. Where if we understand that there is no competition, no representations, no standard registrations for retailers, only the registration that we can accept, there is only European JAP, no Ukrainian equivalent, then we will do the DAP deliveries. The transparent market, we understand that this is definitely a challenging field, specifically for the suppliers of medical medical commodities, and we will be changing the approach on the whole. In fact, now Prozora market influences the procurement of all medical goods for all hospitals. A lot of medical commodities are now mandatory, and we don't just want to take the terms of reference and just put it in here. We want to ensure that the quality of these commodities increases and improves, say the needles or catheters. So we will be definitely looking at this. We've been in conversations with hospitals, and they're not interested in prices. They are ready to pay high prices, but for quality goods. And we will definitely take this into account. We pay a lot of attention and time to planning, and we will definitely scaling it. If we just do everything on the fast track, and if we buy everything from one country for cheap, it doesn't mean that the patients will be satisfied. What's important to note, we always show this slide because not all the suppliers are aware of this, that Prozora market does not belong to us. This story started design. It was really good. There were several stakeholders there. They have equal voting rights because they're together in here with policymakers, and there are platforms through which you get access to the central database. There are more or less powerful ones, but what's important to Prozora market, it's the platform that you work with, because their functionality and design for hospitals is different. So the client experience is important. It's highly important to what platform you use. We're not the only ones in Ukraine. We administer only the medical sphere. There are other players in the market that work with fuels, electricity, and others. There's also laptops, computers. But the history is important. We analyzed 2023, and in fact, hospitals are the biggest client for Prozora market, and it's not only medical goods. This is also fuel, this is also electricity and foods. And since hospitals are our biggest clients, we will do our best to ensure that they can buy everything in one place, both medicines and also foods. And there are, of course, policymakers such as the Ministry of Economy that design the rules of play, and of course, the state enterprise Prozora, they define the architecture, they qualify the platforms and give them access, and we qualify the suppliers on our part as a centralized procurement organization. So the results now. What's important in the market? Anyone can access can have access and look at this. It's important, for example, for such agencies such as SMD, and they can control it. Of course, there is an aspect of economizing, and of course, hospitals spend a lot of time preparing the documentation. They purchase every single year the same products and goods, and there's again no sense of copying and pasting it. But the next big thing is you can see the price for the item. And in the adult version of Presorio, this is how we call the big tenders. So there is a specification in PDF format of a horrible quality, and it's clear what was the amount, the purchasing price, and we understand that we need to improve and overhaul this for everyone to see the needs of the country on different budget levels, who bought what. Then we need to definitely ensure the proper format, and the e-catalog means better life and streamlining for hospitals. And of course, everyone who reads the news from the Cabinet of Ministers, you see that the list of mandatory items is being expanded. And we have the list on medications, on medical commodities. I'll be open with you. We wanted to make them mandatory since summer to have time to prepare it properly, but policymakers had a different approach, and we now have the bottleneck because the date was January 1st. But nonetheless, we're working on it, and we will definitely correct it very soon. So now the last slide from me. Our strategy is coming to an end. That was in place until December 31st. There were challenges such as COVID-19. There was 1 year, 2021, where it was comfortable for us because everyone was used to COVID by then, and the Great War hadn't started yet. And then things started happening, but thanks to the support of our partners, and thanks to the suppliers and trusting us and coming to us, irrespective of what was happening, we definitely made it through, and we met all our strategic goals and fulfilled our strategic initiatives, and we are proud of that. For the year 2024, well, we definitely need to talk about the future, so we need to see the next slide. The clicker somehow won't work. Okay, the technicalities. So, in my own words, we started it as a startup. There were only a few of us, and as Nadia Bikun wrote, she is now the Deputy Minister of Economy. She once wrote about us, and it was fun, that we are a bunch of private entrepreneurs, 20 consultants from the from an international project provided assistance to the Ministry of Health, and now we turned into a tender organization and learned about the procurement in Prosoro. And then we spent 18 months to become a procurement agency. We traveled across the world and all across Ukraine to all the top players in the market. And it turned out, and in 3 years, that no one is interested in economizing. No one was interested whether we were a procurement or a tendering agency. So we will be interacting with you to build these supply chains. We will be open to you. We ask you to be open to us, and we hope that in 3 years we will become a full-fledged supply chain agency where everything will be planned 3 years into the future, and the patients will be aware and will know what medicines they receive and when. And of course, we carried out the modernization of all those facilities and warehouses that we have. We, of course, understand that the market is working. We don't want to be a distributor opening drugstores. So the story is, again, it's important for us to keep storage of important molecules, and it's simply cheaper to store them here. And of course, we have vaccines, and there is no logistical partner in Ukraine that can store vaccines with a temperature regime minus 20 degrees. Of course, there is the company that deals with fish, but that's like food products. So it's important for us to bring small batches to the hospitals. They do not have large warehouses. That's why bringing small batches onto the market is very expensive. So using your own transportation is important. So United 24 and other projects, and this is the focus. And the international partners are coming to us with the proposals to build hospitals. This is the new sphere for us, and we don't have experience, but if there is definitely demand for that, we will be thinking about it, maybe having a new unit, but building hospitals, well, we will first need to assess the situation. Thank you. So then we will cover some specific questions about the changes to contracts. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Serhiy Amelyanchuk, Head of Public Procurement Unit of the MPU. And Serhiy will tell you more about the new developments in procurement. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to see so many of you here, and a lot of our colleagues have tuned in online to this event. It's very pleasant that a lot of you are showing interest, and that we can share our experience, that we are tracing and looking at those elements of supply chains where we have 5 years of experience. So we are talking about procurement, and procurement for us is one of the elements of the supply chain. Of course, this is a large-scale process, a multi-stage process, but it is not an independent process. This is part and parcel of the supply chain, and starts with the preparation of the procurement and finishes with the conclusion of agreements. And when we're talking about the procurement in the public sector, when it's the taxpayer money, what it means that procurements are accountable, transparent, sometimes over-regulated and difficult to understand for people who are new to this, either as the customer or the participant in the procurement process. And of course, this activity puts a lot of burden, and I'm sure that all of you have experience in participation in public procurement, and of course we can draw simple comparisons, just as we did the procurement in 2021, 22, and 23, and we all understand how huge those challenges were, and we are facing multiple challenges and changes in legislation, in technical facilities, in regulations, in operational management of the procurement procedures, and the 2022 must have been the year where we had the maximum changes, and now we are coming back to Prozoro, to the tenders, and we can now see the procurement procedures in the Prozoro system. We had also streamlined and shortened terms. We also had the assessment of the contract and its conclusion. There were a lot of changes, and we tried to adapt them to make them clear and understandable to all the participants of this procedure. I mean, not only the customer, not only the supplier, not only us, but also the stakeholders from the patient community, from the civil society, who those who carry the oversight, and also the control bodies, the anti-monopoly committee, the auditing services, the Chamber of Accounts.
I believe that we successfully coped with the challenges, and my colleague has demonstrated the respective statistics. We've got the grounds to be proud of our achievements. At the same time, we get a signal, meaning that the procurement area is always a challenge. It's a very dynamic system, and the rules are not always stable and dependent on a single player. All participants should regularly monitor the changes to stay in the loop. You have seen the 2023 results, and you know that all the participants study the rules anew since the beginning of every new cycle. The number of questions ebbs closer to the end of this cycle. At the same time, the quality of procurement and the quality of tenders is growing. This means that the understanding of the procurement procedure and practices is improving, yet it's a permanent process. One has to be well prepared in advance before submitting the tender documentation, because tender procurement is a very complicated process involving many stakeholders, additional parties to the process, and so on. We try to arrange not the process itself, but the availability of the medicines. The objective of today's forum is to share our knowledge, our vision of the capabilities and approaches towards the procurement in the current procurement season. We would like also to provide answers to your questions. Thus, you'll be able to shape your own approach to the procurement. I will dwell a little bit on the tools we are going to apply. Dan has already talked about them. There is nothing new about them. We would be using still RIBA as a tool for communication, information exchange, and information accumulation. Another objective is also to analyze information and run the statistics, which is necessary for design in terms of reference before the procurement. Prozoro is still our platform for all actually contractors that are willing to comply with the law on public procurement. The legislation and the society require accountability, transparency, and control. We participate in public procurement, so all the interested parties should be able to see the bids and the orders. Everything is accountable, and the system is transparent in terms of selecting the winner and the publication of all the tender related reports. It's easy to operate this data, and not only the participants, not only the business representatives, but also the state oversight authorities can easily monitor the procurement process and the contract execution. So formalization of the contract is not the end of procurement. It's just formalization, but the procurement goes on, and the oversight is required till the delivery is over, until a report is submitted. I mean, the report on the execution. We also use the Prozoro market when we have to complete the procurement very fast, because due to this tool we can easily and promptly complete the procurement. We also use this tool if the item in question is available in the category. And the competition then is ensured. The participants start bidding, their offers are validated in this system, and thus we can ensure the fair competition and the selection of winners. Regarding the changes, it is obvious that our event is too short to provide you the entire information on all the changes, but of course you will receive the information materials. We will focus today on the key changes related to our tender documents and announcements. In terms of the medicines, the main difference compared to the previous periods will be our requirement to accept only registered medicines. There will be some exceptions, but once again we are going to accept the medicines registered in line with the piece of legislation number 1391, and we would like to inform you also on the next change related to GMP. It is not that considerable, but in the tender announcements will be requiring the documents certifying the production conditions or GMP certificates issued by the EU countries or Great Britain or the countries having the mutual recognition agreement with the EU or Ukraine. And previously, we asked for the respective documents to be provided within 90 days from the date of conclusion, contract conclusion. This year, this requirement is cancelled. Nonetheless, we'll be checking if all the participants meet this requirement. There are no serious changes in terms of the tender documents requirements for the medical equipment. We will still have certain requirements, certain technical requirements, and we'll be asking for catalog numbers. Everything remains unchanged. What's new about medical products and equipment? We'll be asking for the codes that we need for logistic process and for accounting. The procurement procedure is regulated by the respective legislation, and during the martial law, the key document is the CMU resolution number 1178. It's going to be valid till the end of this year. There is currently a practice of functioning in line with this decree. The key feature is the open tendering. The practice has been settled, it does exist, and it's quite positive. The procurement period typically lasts 20 days. It takes 20 days for the contract to be concluded, and we also refused from so-called English tendering. At the time, the period of tendering lasted for about 75 days. It was extremely long and burdening. For the open tender, we produce the settled structure tender documents. So whatever we would like to procure, either medical products, medicines, or equipment, we always provide an instruction, and the Annex 1 includes the requirements, Annex 2 includes the checklist of the documents participants should provide, and in Annex 3 there are also the winner requirements, and Annex 4 includes the contract template. This significantly simplifies the procedure for the tender participants. It makes also our life easier because thus we can optimize the time both the contractor and the participant spend on procurement procedure. The term of bidding is much shorter. According to the decree, we are allowed to spend 7 days, but in fact we spend typically 10 days. It is usually enough to instruct the participants. At the same, these approaches are quite flexible, and when the market demonstrates the need to have more time, we respond respectively and make the changes in order to optimize the procedure and complete the procurement efficiently. 7 days is the minimum timeline. It's important for the emergency procurement. So the delivery deadlines are also remain also unchanged, and they depend on the needs of the ultimate consumers. So we are guided by the date by which the recipients of the ultimate consumers should receive these supplies. Then all procurement in 2024 will be subject to VAT. It's not our initiative. This is the result of the regulation, and of course we have our own understanding. We invest efforts to regulate the participation of various participants with different status and the form of ownerships. Here I imply both residents and non-residents. We are doing our best, and it is possible to ensure the equal participation in auctions for everyone. We have no grounds to believe that someone can be subject to discrimination. And the draft contracts will specify the delivery conditions. The delivery conditions include EAP and DDP. We will take into consideration our own logistic capacities and our partners' logistic peculiarities, and of course the needs of the consumers. Another important challenge is the deadline for delivery, but there is a respective order. The Ministry of Healthcare, you can find it on the website. Let's say the Minister of Healthcare has collected the needs and issues the additional request, then we will conclude an additional contract. If we need to procure a new item we have not worked before, or if the patent protection for the item is going to expire, then we won't conclude the 3-year contracts. We are going to use the innovative tool for procuring oncological medicines, and I hope that other contractors will follow our example. The contract template has not been changed seriously apart from those we have discussed. We have considered the experience of the last year regarding the deadlines, and we made the respective changes. It was the request of the tender participants. Here I am talking about the bank guarantee. The timeline grew till 20 years. Previously it was 15 days. The bank guarantee will be the only tool for advance payment. We won't be able to use the letters of credit any longer. It's not because it's not our wish, but we would like to consider the public approach and practice. In case of 3-year contracts, the bank guarantee should be provided for the amount of advance payment. For the goods needed for 2025-2026. So if we conclude the contract in 2024 and make an advance payment, then this advance payment will cover the cost of goods to be delivered in 2024. And in 2025-2026 we'll receive from the updated amounts and the deadlines of delivery from the Ministry of Healthcare. Then we'll have to conclude additional agreements, and the cost of the cost of goods should be covered by the bank guarantees. If it's for goods to be delivered in 2025-2026, this relieves the financial burden, and this approach is in line with the tax legislation. Everyone knows that the bank guarantee cannot be valid for longer than 12 months in our case. Regarding the unit price, it can be revised just once within 30 calendar days from the date of the advance payment, and we can check whether the prices are still relevant. The equivalent of the total control price in notional units will be set according to the selling rate, and the only change is that the price will be set as of the date of determining the winner of the procurement procedure. Via Prozora, it is possible to check what supplier has won the tender. Last year, the key milestone was the date of contract conclusion. As regards the delivery timeline, we are guided by the date by which we need the delivery completed. Currently, we are coming up with the approximate delivery dates. When we start arranging procurement for 2025-26, we will revise the timeline, again by means of additional contracts. There are not too many changes, and there are less changes, much less changes than the number of mistakes made by the participants. We have some statistics on mistakes, and if you scan the QR code, you will find a broad list of common mistakes. I hope that this year, this cycle will be characterized by a less number of mistakes. We are trying to raise the awareness and develop the good practice. We are urging you to consider not only your own mistakes, but also mistakes made by other participants. Very often participants forget to submit some essential documents, and we also observe some cases of ignorance or neglect. Participants have 24 hours to fix their bugs, but of course this time period is not a good remedy. Anyway, the participants should pay attention to the regulation and all the requirements to technical characteristics. If it's a technical issue, we cannot allow you for this 24 hours. So please look into the checklist of tender documents.
Часто трапляється.
So sometimes the sum of the tender bid is exceed, and of course the regulation allows to participate in the tender for those participants whose suggested sum exceeds it, and they notice when they notice it in the announcement. So yes, we are not particularly prone to this approach, and we focus on working with the market, looking at the expected prices. So the expected bidding prices cannot exceed the stated amount, and in the tender documentation it cannot be more than the bid. So this would be a sign of consistency, and so please make sure that you follow the requirements, the regulations that we have to conform with, and we have to stay in these limits. And so, of course, the dates of delivery have to be stated clearly, and if we have a winning bidder, and when we qualify the participant, and the participant is now a winner, then we can conclude the agreement and sign it. But these 4 calendar days when the winner must upload the certificates such as the certificate of the absence of criminal record of the head of the company, or they upload a certificate that is no longer valid. It's not really difficult because this certificate will be valid for a long time. So concerning non-residents, we also set a requirement to confirm the absence of criminal record, and oftentimes the mistake is that when the winner writes to us that in the country of the winner there is no opportunity to get such a certificate. So this approach again makes our cooperation complicated. So make sure to focus on this too. This is it from me. I hope that this information was useful to you, and hopefully next year we will have a very fruitful cooperation. And thank you for your attention. And now the time to give the floor to the next speaker. I give the floor to Oleg Klotz, Deputy GM on Supplies Management of the MPU. But I would like to know that after Oleg's presentation, we have 15 minutes Q&A session and 15 minutes for a short coffee break. Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming here today. Thank you for your interest. And just as my colleague told me, we have over 200 people joining online and almost 60 here in the hall. So we are going to talk about changing approaches to the supply of medical commodities. As you know, the cornerstone of our activities is providing our patients with the necessary medical commodities. So the next 3 years presuppose our transition to supply chains organizations. So we now offer a look at our supply chain. So it starts way before we start the tender. We first have our analytical systems where we collect the demands, the requirements from all the healthcare institutions. Then this information gets transferred to the Ministry of Health, and the next step in our process is the order from the Ministry of Health that again takes into account the information we provided about the nomenclature, and then our colleagues from the unit of category management, we then draw up medical and technical requirements to the procurement, and after the procurement we have the conclusion of the contract, delivery of goods, and then the shipment of goods into the regions. So this process has several stages. It's digitized, and first and foremost, this is the data management, because our ultimate goal is ensuring that our patients get what they need. So we see when the end consumers need these goods, and that's how and when these goods get to our warehouses. And we also look at how this or that medication is being used, and this is how we plan the shipments of medications. As it was noted, our focus this year will be on the availability of commodities. We will have the shipment deadlines in the contracts, because these medications medications, these medical commodities are required to be in hospitals at a specific time. Why do we have this requirement? We have the specifications, and it's important to get these medications when they are needed, and based on this, we deliver these medications and commodities. We ship these goods and in small consignments, and what we started doing last year, and we will continuing this year. We refer not only to the requests from the healthcare institutions. We also look at the availability of medications. There is internal migration. There is an ongoing war. So what we based our activities on the availability of goods, on the need to provide them, and we also look at the specific stock of molecules at our warehouses, and there are also normative regulations, and if we have a look at the orders, we need to ensure 30% the need. And to do all this, we have been using several logistical companies and the operators on the market. As my colleague has said, we also added another state enterprise, and this is our branch of medical deliveries that have their own vehicles and warehouses. And so the idea was to ensure the full cycle of medical supply, its management, minimization of risks of breaking the treatment cycles, and minimizing the duration of the process. So let's look at the changes to the agreements. As I mentioned, the delivery of goods less than a month, if we compare it to the agreed date, will be we will need to look at it together with the MPU. So I would like to note that the suppliers must ensure the proper conditions of storage and delivery of the commodities, the usage of proper packaging and delivery methods. So at this point, it's only the cars that and delivery trucks that can ensure that, because this is the only means of transportation available, and so we urge you to make sure that all the transport that you use to deliver goods is validated, and also the expenses on lab works, they will be the responsibility of the supplier. Of course, the compliance with the standards is the responsibility of the supplier, and the payment of the services will be also the responsibility of the supplier. As we mentioned, we talked about the DDP conditions. We will also talk about the spheres that definitely need this. Medical equipment is procured based on DDP. At the same time, we have donors where we buy some materials with a very short shelf life, 14-21 days, so we cannot just form large batches. So we use the DDP conditions, and we will then define the those who will receive such medications. In the context of 3-year contracts, this application has to be the component of such a contract. We can ask you to deliver these commodities earlier. You will have the right to agree or disagree with such a request, and the delivery will be to various platforms, various websites or warehouses. So the name of the medicine, its quantity, and the address, shipping address. So I think that would be it, and we will talk about it in more detail at the Q&A session. So thank you. You can stay here, and now we start our Q&A session. So now it's 11:20 now, and at 11:50 I will ask you to return to this hall. We will start taking the questions from the members of the audience. So 1 or 2 questions on your part.
Сейчас, секундочку.
Thank you very much. We can see it good in Zoom, but European Business Association, I represent the association, and thank you for the recommendations. They definitely provided answers to questions that I had already noted. So my first question concerns the controlled access agreements, because there is not a specific line what a specific sum is given to these agreements. Is the information already available? What sum will be deduced from the general budgets of the procurements to controlled access agreements? And another question concerning 3-year agreements. I heard that it will be oncology, cancers. Maybe you will have the list of INNs that will be the subjects of these agreements. Thank you. This is a good question. As for the MAA, we have obligations for 700 million hryvnias, and of course this is one of the budget lines. As for the new ones, why is it so difficult? Our ecosystem has several visions of every stakeholder, and my personal vision is that it's highly likely that a patient in Ukraine will be able to afford these medications that cost 100 hryvnias per package, and definitely impossible when it's 200,000 hryvnias. So I communicate with various stakeholders saying, let's focus on innovations. So let's give old molecules for reimbursement, or let's work with the state. And other stakeholders respond that we, as the state, must ensure basic treatments. So if we have money for, say, cotton and bandages, then we have to spend money on this first. And I think that we will find the middle ground somewhere. It's the second year in a row where we send proposals to clean up our nomenclature, where we have some low prices for molecules that are 50 or 70 years old, and definitely that should go for reimbursement, in our opinion. And I hope that we will be able to agree on with our stakeholders for MAAs, and sometimes it happens that mid-cycle various stakeholders come to us with the request to buy extra medications for military hospitals, and then we have to readjust and review our priorities. So we are hoping to get 300 more millions in addition to the budget that we have in place. So red tape. Well, bureaucratically, we can work in all 7 directions. Again, the order. There is this state stock, the commitment that we have those medications in stock at all times, whether we have the markets for all molecules. I think that we will be sending out the materials to you, and there will be a feedback form. So, of course, oncology, cardiovascular, and donors. We will hope that it will get it off the ground. Of course, we will also focus on the molecules, the strategically important molecules that require a lot of funding, and of course, we will also be using our usual practices in place on Prozoro market. Thank you. Vyhorska Yulia, American Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the information you've provided. I would like to specify concerning MAA. Maybe you've already mentioned that. Could you tell us whether you're working on this, that MAA is not within the scope of the law on public procurement? Yes, we're working on it. It's been a year. We started last year. We have 2 draft laws. We launched both of them. First, it means the amendments to the old one, where we again continue this temporary norm that, and we also waited for the committee response. The second draft law changes the rules of play, and it overhauls the procedure. And now, and in that one, MAA is one of the methods, and the customer has the right not to, again, make them public, and it comes into force. It should come into force 9 months after the end of the war. And of course, the resolutions on MAA have different laws. Again, depends on which draft law will be voted for, and I hope that we will be in agreement with the Ministry of Health, that they will be only responsible for the budget of the nomenclature, and the rest is our responsibility.
Thank you for response. One more question regarding MAA. What INN are prioritized from the point of view of medical technologies, perhaps, and can we expect that the assessment will result in changing the INN priorities? Well, it's a very difficult question. Perhaps you should have addressed it to the policymaker. We spent it depends whether we have to spend millions on 100 or 1,000 patients. In fact, all patients are critical and important. We always try to find simple solutions for difficult questions. For instance, in the IT area, we have to develop lots of things, but there is still a backlog, and it's not desirable to change anything there. And as soon as we get the budget, we channel it to the priority things. There are some companies that get into the backlog, and as soon as we get the resources in savings or additional funding, we can start the procurement. Otherwise, it will be really tough to ensure fair play. So it's very important for the patients to know what year the molecule they need will be launched. Thank you. Good afternoon. I represent Medtronic company and I have three simple questions. First question is about the hard stop which took place in February, and we stopped shipments, we stopped dispensing, so to say. But the question is it possible to continue the operations in March? Should I ask them all at once? Maybe one by one. Regarding the first question, I think everyone is interested in the response. So we can split it down into two stages. First, in terms of the supplies from non-residents, we have to wait for the passports. It's important for paying VAT at the stage of customs clearance. And after March, we will be able to give you the green light. The respective budget allocations are there. Thank you. And principally, you said that you would like to procure the goods that consider, so to say, the anatomic peculiarities of patients. So it means that there is clear a link between the goods and the individual patients. So, is it possible to bring such goods back to the warehouse? Because we have to supply them under the contract, but maybe we will have to take them back. We are limited by the tax code in terms of re-export. Re-exporting is possible within 6 months after the delivery date. There are you're asking about the particular sizes of products. If we see that the hospital needs some replacement and it falls within the timeline, we may consider such an option. We collect the needs of the healthcare facilities directly. It was very ambitious. We and difficult. Let's say 900 facilities submit their needs, indicating the sizes they need. We were really surprised by this huge amount, but I'm sure that in some period of time we'll be able to collect the needs together with the sizes if this information is given from the very beginning. Okay. Would you like to get back to the requalification practice during the open tendering? As of now, the supplier company can participate, let's say, in the tender blindly with the company that doesn't meet the criteria at all. But this company, the second participant, damps the price significantly. In terms of the 1138 decree, we envisage the right of the contractor to see our the tender participants. It's important to have this opportunity of the requalification. There is no such requirement for the medical goods. We would like to we would like to bring this requirement back. If it were possible, we would agree, of course, but unfortunately, Prozoro doesn't have such an opportunity. In Ariba, it's available. I hope in Prozoro it will be available later on, but at the moment we are not able of requalification. Thank you very much for your informative presentation. My name is Oksana Dus. I am from Organon Company, and I have the following question. This year, according to the order number 137, the reproductive technologies program was not included, and in what way, what happens next to this program for treating infertility? Well, everything will be covered by the National Health Service. Traditionally, there were 4 or 5 hospitals that were able of receiving these medications. And half of them refused actually from the medications. We did not know the full needs. In fact, terrible cases happened at the start of war, and people sold their apartments to buy these medications on their own. At the same time, the medications are covered by the program. The registration is not complicated. It is possible to retail these products, but still a decision was made to fund these procurements via National Health Service. But we have to administer such procurements, and it is very expensive. It may be more expensive than the medicines themselves. So we'll try to consider the option of reimbursement. Hello, my name is Ksenia from Pharma Company. I have 2 questions. Number 1 is about these 3-year contracts. Let's say this year you start the 3-year contract, but if we produce our medicine next year, this means that we do not fall into this timeline. Are you talking about the registration? So the next year we're going to produce it for the first time, but since you concluded the 3-year contract this year, we won't be able to participate. We have some good piece of news for you. So we realize that the amounts are flexible, and we will run additional procurement. Maybe your next year's medicine will fall into this additional procurement. Our managers will analyze the patents, and if the patent is going to expire and the generic will appear soon, we won't procure such medicines. Thank you. And the next question is about the market. If possible, we would like to see INNs in the national list. We've seen that you have added INN filters. But what about the national list? It's a difficult question. We would like to avoid all possible abuse, so we take the INN and publish them in the marketplace. We have the reduced number of fields in the market that we can fill out. To change it, we have to contact Prozoro. That's the task for the developers, actually. Well, if possible, please consider such a proposal of ours. And another question. We are concerned by the measurement units. We often have conflicts with our contractors. So what are the units? Individual items or packages, or else it's very difficult to provide us some instructions or unify the measurement units. Historically, the market can indicate the particular number of packages. This started in 2020 because then it was possible to buy directly if the amount did not exceed the threshold. So the hospitals could buy what they wanted. At the time, the structure was justified. As of now, we fix all these bugs gradually. We try to train of the hospitals, and it's our position to use the smallest units of measurement for the fair competition. If we buy the pills, we buy the pills. It doesn't matter how many of them. Let me comment a little bit. You're in front of the screen. The speaker is not using the mic. The interpretation is not possible. Many contractors face the following problems. They make a request and they do not indicate the size of the package. There is a different situation. The contractors order pills and with the indicating the dose of the active substance. For instance, Mirapinem pills number 10. So they don't understand if they have ordered the number of packages or the number of pills. It's important to understand the market correctly, but now we're talking about the technical implementation by means of our marketplaces. There should be a question: are you sure that you order 1,000 of pills or 1,000 of packages? In the technical specification, we won't have the number. But we will train our suppliers. Additionally, we'll be helping them with these system questions, whether you are sure that you order 1,000 of pills and not of the packages. Okay, I think there will be more questions online participants regarding the e-catalog. Okay. Colleagues from online now have the opportunity to ask their questions. There are several questions about the 3-year contracts. Is it planned to conclude 3-year contracts for all oncology molecules? And what about revising the price? Is it planned to revise the price each subsequent year after the contract conclusion? And whether the amount of goods is going to change? What factors shall be considered during the amount revision? I tried to explain this, but perhaps it was not absolutely clear. Look, there is still the possibility to revise the price. It will be connected with the prepayment. As soon as prepayment is made, the window of opportunity opens, so the price can be revised within 30 days after the prepayment, and the prepayment is made at the expense of the respective budget. Therefore, there will be 3 budget periods altogether: 2024, 25, 26. Then we can make the prepayment to cover some amount of goods. After the prepayment, the supplier can revise the price. This can be the initiative of the supplier pursuant to the law on public procurement. So price revision is subject to the legislative regulation. one of the grounds for revision is the currency exchange rate. If it changes, then the price can be revised. And what was another question? It was about the oncology medicines molecules. Some molecules were excluded. We do not procure if it's not a project procurement, if the patent protection expires, and if it's something new for us. But the Ministry of Health has to collect the needs for 3 years consumption. But there will be some exceptions. So thank you. More questions from the audience? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mykola Romaniuk from Archimed Medical. I would like to expand on your previous answer. It's again about this 3-year contracts. Are you going to consider the available stock, and is it possible to include unregistered products for the sake of simplicity, the sake of simplified procedure, just like the other countries regulate this issue? The price is important, but it's less important than availability, than the stock. Unfortunately, we have an unpleasant experience with the oncology medicine deficiency. It was a complete crisis just because some suppliers failed to register the medicines on time. In case of competition, we will always opt for the supplier of the registered medicine. There might be other cases of the monopoly, no available medicines. Then we can also consider the unregistered medicines. And what about the stocks? Will you consider them? Well, stock is a dynamic phenomenon. For example, we believe that there is a stock that can be in Lviv. It can be distributed for the country, but then we run out of stock because within 1 month. So it's a not regulated issue how the facilities use their stock. Someone consumes within a month and someone within a week. Okay, thank you. The second question is about the measurement criteria. In Prozora market, we faced with the so-called marketing measurement unit. For instance, diapers for adults, they are measured in drops. This is the marketing measurement unit is the marketing information provided by each individual supplier, and it's up to their discretion. So please decide on the measurement units and ask for the respective certificates.
One question online, and we'll be wrapping up and having a small coffee break. So, concerning Prozora market, what is the basis for the because sometimes the participant was qualified for one commodity and supplies the other. So where our responsibility ends and the work with the supplier begins. Of course, it's the responsibility of a customer. Nobody forbids them to not accept the deliveries. So there are 3,000 hospitals. So the request is to work with the customers. The hospitals have every right to refuse to accept the shipments if it's not in conformity with the contract stipulations. We have contracting in a market. and soon the electronic contracts will be obligatory. So we're hoping so at least system-wise we will be able to protect both the market and the hospitals. And the last question from the audience. Good afternoon, Andrei, Medical Cars. From my experience, producers revise prices every year because the net worth changes, the logistics, and the 3-year contract. In addition to the exchange rate, it should also stipulate the possibility to revise the net worth price of the because we don't want them to again increase the prices in 2 years. And another practical question: when we didn't have the VAT, so we had prepayments, then we converted it and we felt sure. But now when we will be receiving prepayments, we will have the VAT obligation, so we will have to pay the VAT. And when, say, in a month, we will have to pay the VAT again. So, of course, it's our issues, but can we somehow influence the deadlines for prepayments? Because if can we will it be possible to take into account the supplier's wishes concerning the dates for the prepayments? First of all, by the end of this week, or at the very latest the next week, we'll have the consultation from the Ministry of Finance of Ukraine that regulates this question. The VAT that the resident pays at the customs, it will be their tax credit, and they can also apply for the reimbursement. And this practice will be applicable to all our contracts. And here you will have a window of opportunity to use the prepayment more effectively. Concerning the terms, we won't be able to regulate them because we don't have the administrative resource, we don't have the economists and financiers and financial experts. And also, we give this to the payment slip to the Treasury, and then they again. Month, we can definitely make forecasts for a month, and plan ahead for a month, but of course, longer it won't be possible. So let's just say we received the shipment at our warehouse, and then they didn't register the tax declaration. Then and the commodities are frozen at our warehouse, or we will pay the VAT once again. So VAT is not just about money. There's a whole range of issues. So the basic option is the exchange rate for non-residents. This is the foreign currency aspect of the contract. We perfectly see what happens at the regional level when the company lowers the prices and then brings the letter that testifies to the fact that everything's gone and the price is increased, and they cannot do it. So we don't want to have the stories like that. So if we have this reasonable grounds, such as the martial law, fluctuations of exchange rates, the hospitals are not ready to receive the equipment, and you are facing incurring the penalties. So say it now or never, as they say in the church. We are not doing this on purpose to impose penalties. And no one will be forcing you to ship goods at the detriment to yourself. So now we have a small break, and at 12:10 we wait to hear we start our second session. We expect you all in this hall.
За 4 хвилини розпочинаємо.
In 4 minutes, we are going to start at 12:20 sharp.
Так, я вже бачу, всі зібралися.
As far as I see, everyone is here. Let's start the second session. Now you will get lots of interesting details about the digital transformation and our communication with US suppliers. I'd like to invite Igor Lysenko, who is the head of the Digital Transformation Unit. Hi everyone, thank you very much. As far as I see, you didn't have enough time to drink coffee, so You can be a little bit tired because of lots of discussions and lots of information, but you should focus on the two panels. That will be my presentation, and Stanislav's presentation will be dedicated to compliance. What about the standardized process of medical procurement in Ukraine? I try to present it in the most obvious manner. It's a classical and streamlined process. This means that it can have never deviations. It's in line with the legislation, and we strictly stick to the process. I'll explain you our classical interaction. First, we collect the needs from the healthcare facilities, from the hospitals. So we collect the needs via our UStock and metadata systems. UStock system is a system which is going to replace metadata. Metadata will remain the classical system for some healthcare facilities that do not have the modernized system. Afterwards, we get this information and it's analyzed by the Ministry of Health and expert groups. It's analyzed and verified. Then we wait for the ministry's orders and we start the market consultations. This year, market consultations were launched in Saporiba for the first time. So please register there, otherwise you will miss it. Then Prozoro market is used as a platform for public tender. In line with the legislation, all market participants should participate in these procedures. So we hold the consultations, we handle the requests in this sub Ariba, while the bidding itself and contesting, challenging the results can happen in Prozoro market. Then, if you win the tender, we supply you a request to provide the necessary documents. We collect all information that we need for concluding a contract or for our efficient interaction with user, our contract. Then we sign the contract. We use SAP Ariba to conclude the contract. There are several options for physical signing the contract. In case of non-residents, our system will be using crypto libraries of the EU, like DocuSign. At present, there is no such an opportunity. We have no problems with the residents. We use a частный system, and on some occasions we use also the paperwork, the paper documents. We would like, of course, to avoid using the paper documents because it is not always possible. Now, this is about upstream process. We actually split our process in two big blocks full of business processes. In terms of the downstream process, it's for the accounting and the payments. There we interact with our financial planning unit, with the treasury, and with the accounting units. Then we also use the MedSupply system. It's actively developing, and this time we can track the goods and see the component documents there. When the entire process is over, we are able to monitor the stock in the hospitals. As mentioned, the most important index for us is the index of the region's supply. We calculate this index ourselves, and on the basis of information we receive, we make decisions on whether we are going to procure or not procure additional quantities of certain medicines for certain regions. How does it look like from your standpoint? We try to saturate the slide with valuable information. There are also links on the slide. And if you follow these links, you will see everything you need. It's a kind of a handbook on interacting with the medical procurement of Ukraine. I will give you more details. First step is the supplier's registration. We are we must be sure that some strangers do not register. We should be absolutely sure that our interaction is based on trust. So we interact with the verified and reliable suppliers of medical products. The first thing to do for a supplier is to fill out a questionnaire. It's very simple, but upon receiving this questionnaire, our experts check whether the company does exist and whether all contact details are true. I'm very glad that today we have the head of regional SAP office, Ms. Anya Mikulitska. SAP supports Ukraine and the Ukrainian market and medical procurement of Ukraine in particular. Due to this support, Ukraine got access to SAP Ariba BusinessNet. It's a huge platform with 8 million of suppliers from all across the globe. And by registering with the platform, you get free of charge access to this database. Then you have to fill out our compliance questionnaire. That's important for due diligence because we cooperate only with the reliable suppliers that comply with our legislation. After registration, you become a full-fledged participant. You receive various alerts on events and you have the access to the information and we can interact with you and communicate with you. Then it's time for the procurement preparation stage. The first step is the market consultation. Market consultations took place last year as well, and this year nothing will be changed. This is a very easy process. It's announced in a couple of clicks. It's a very positive thing. We would like to keep track of our interaction and to know for sure what data was submitted. And on the basis of this data, we can develop the policies and the processes. In SAP Ariba, we can also ask you to provide some additional certificates and documents, but we never ask these certificates just for fun. It's important for making managerial decisions. Then we may also convene consultations for some clarification. We may announce the second consultation for everyone to provide information. Then we start working with the procurement calendar. This year, the approach to this calendar has changed. Previously, this calendar was separate from the supply chain. Now it will be included, but it's not a main feat. We would like to be as accurate as possible with our planning, but would like to apologize in advance. Every year, the planning will be improving depending on our extraction. We'll be storing the retrospective data and then upon the analysis we will be improving our planning. For you it will be easier to understand when the procurement, the consultation and other procedures take place because we would like to inform you in a transparent manner. Prozoro market is used for these procedures. It's the general practice. Regarding the contracting process, we formalize the contracts in the paperless form To the extent it's possible, we also try to digitalize our processes. SAP Ariba has lots of benefits for you because you enjoy the centralized communication. This is the single information channel. By using it, you won't miss our information. If unless you are registered, I would highly recommend you to register with the SAP-RIBA. There you can get detailed information, the procurement process, and our interaction is fully documented. For you, it's important to understand that everything is transparent and accountable, and every audit can check all the transactions very easily. That's the business process within the same system. We've got 90% automatization of the upstream process. It's a great achievement. Then, Ariba ensures safety and security due to the high level of the system protection. It's the era of cyber threats. That's why data protection is very important. It's crucial to avoid the data leaks. To this end, the system is equipped with a high level of protection. It's absolutely crucial. I will inform you briefly on our plans to develop this system. There are two parts of the plans, including internal plans and SAP plans. There are representatives of SAP here, and I think they but these plans as well, of course. In terms of the medical procurement of Ukraine, we are going to improve interaction with suppliers. Um, um, it should be most convenient for you. Then we would like to prepare training materials and webinars. Definitely, we will be training all of you. I think that in 6 weeks we will have a webinar on the system, its philosophy, some procurement practices, and so on. Then our plan is to develop analytical tools for visualizing agency plans. What is meant? Here I imply event calendars. So we would like to announce lots of our events on the BI resources, and we will enhance this area. SAP has the plans of localization. Approximately, it will happen in the mid-2024. At present, there is no user interface in Ukrainian. We try to translate whatever is possible. But SAP will complete this process approximately in the middle of 2024. Then it's planned to improve the user interface and functionality of the system. The system interface is not the most modern, perhaps, but the modernization is actively developing. There is also an intention to develop SAP BTP integration and customization to customize our interaction with some unique processes. And finally, SAP is going to develop its tools in the user artificial intelligence. Our organization is not a great fan of artificial intelligence, I can say so, but we will implement it only if it's absolutely necessary. Speaking about the procurement tools, SAP-RIBA is one of the biggest procurement tools globally. We are going to use it very actively this year because it's proved to be efficient. If you have any questions or proposals, please communicate with us. We are open. We answer all your letters, all your requests, and of course, we will train you. Good luck. Thank you, Igor. Now we will tell you more about our anti-corruption policy and suppliers qualification. With that, I will hand it over to Stas who is the head of the compliance sector. Dear colleagues, welcome everyone. Can you hear me well? My name is Stanislav, and today I will tell you more about our anti-corruption policy, our achievements, our plans, and our intentions. First of all, I'd like to mention that in 2022, we completed ISO 37001-2016 standard. This is the globally recognized standard of the International Organization for Standardization. This year, one bank also completed this standardization. It is valid for 3 years, but it doesn't mean that upon standardization process we can relax. We have to confirm our conformity by means of annual audits. We have been successfully through this audit, and it's very difficult to maintain the ideal situation, because the auditors provide also their recommendations and we have to implement them all the time. In 2024, we are going to undergo the audit certification for our new subsidiary. We've got ambitious plans, but I think that we will implement them. It's not the first time we face with this challenge, of course. In our activity, we use the IT control system. It's available for everyone, for you, for our counterparts, and this system helps us to process the complaints regarding ethical conduct and some internal challenges. It is possible to report the bribery and corruption manifestations. We have never seen such situations. We are very proud of it, but online it is possible to report some bribery-related situations. On the website, you've got this channel for reporting. We also joined the whistleblowers portal at NACP. We are going to use this portal very actively, so this means that we can also get the access to the reports on the corruption offenses. And Medical Procurement of Ukraine implements the public anti-corruption program. It was endorsed for the 3-year period. We are main executive party for one measure, and we are core executives for 5 other measures. For example, one of the measures is the supervisory board at our organization. The organization in charge is the Minister of Healthcare. Nonetheless, we should be actively involved. Now let us discuss the grounds for certain deviations or for rejection of tender documents. There are lots of qualification requirements, and on the basis of these requirements, some tender documents can be rejected. These requirements are well described in the law on public procurement. One of the examples, the head of the suppliers company has the criminal record of corruption offense, or this company is related to other companies accused of corruption crimes, and so on. If the supplier falls into one of the categories, we reject its bid. Then, after the full-scale invasion, we started rejecting companies affiliated with Russian Federation, with Belarus. This year, we added also Iran. If the owner is the company is the citizen of Iran, Russian Federation, or Belarus, we are obliged to reject this company's proposal, but there are some exceptions, such as citizens with Russian or Belarusian citizenship may have legal grounds for residing in Ukraine. If the owner of your company is the citizen of one of these countries, then he or she should provide their respective documents certifying that he or she has the right to reside in the territory of Ukraine. We will also reject the proposal if the participant failed to comply with the previous failed to fulfill previous obligations and is subject to sanctions. The proposals will be rejected only if the total amount of penalties is 20% of the contract amount. And if the money was withdrawn as a penalty for failure to fulfill the obligations. In Ukraine, we've got our own sanction legislation, and we stick to this legislation. We have an additional annex to the agreement. It's annex number 4 or 5. It covers sanction requirements.
So we are checking whether they are absent or present in the sanctions list, both in Ukrainian and in the US and the EU, the UK sanctions list, and also on the sanctions list of the United Nations. So if we become aware that either the producer, for example, is on that list, then we have the right to actually terminate the contract one-sidedly. So hopefully everything will be fine in 2024. And I will tell you a bit more about the documents of the winner. So it's not our own invention to require a certificate or something. It's part of the public procurement procedures. It is stated that after we publish the agreement, they are obliged to upload the documents, the certificate of the absence of criminal record. This certificate, it changed last year. Previously, it was specifically for the representatives who submitted the documentation, and now the documentation changed. Now it's it is for the head of the company. So there has been a change in the hierarchy, and this is now the requirement of our legislation. So there's also the certificate of the absence of corruption crimes, and the certificate of the absence of failure to comply with the contract requirements. And another certificate, again, is the certificate of the absence of criminal record. In Ukraine, you can get it in 2 days. It's very quick. And also the certificate that the head of the company did not commit corruption crimes. And sometimes the certificates take 1 or 2 months to obtain. That's why I urge you to obtain them quickly, and we set its validity for up to 90 days. As concerning the documents of the winner, the certificate for non-residents about the absence of criminal record, we understand that we don't have the unified register for corruption offenses, so we don't provide these certificates because of the legislation. So we indeed confirm, we take the explanations. So the most important thing for you is to upload these documents in a timely fashion, because you've gone a long way. You've put in a lot of work. You prepared, we checked, and then on the final stage, somebody forgets a signature or forgets a document, and that's why we have to reject this tender bid and move on to a different participant. At the qualification stage, we can provide it, but if and we can provide 24 hours for the winner to upload the documents. Stas, thank you. And we finished the series of presentations here. I understand that you have a lot of questions, so I would like to invite all our colleagues who participated, and let's do the rounds. Like this, one question from the audience in the hall, one question from the participants online. We will have 20 minutes for that, and then we will start a panel discussion. If the members in the audience have a question, please raise your hands. Good afternoon. Thank you for the meeting, Volodymyr Kotlarov. Two questions. First concerns the 3-year contracts. If, for example, the registration certificate runs out next year, whether it's enough to have the document that the re-registration process has already started, then what certificate can we take to prove it? And the deadline of delivery for more than 30 days, because we have several factors. The situation on the border, I'm sure that this year the situation continues, so this is a very burning question for us. I will start with the last question. Yes, we have a difficult situation on one of our borders, but if there is a critical situation, and we understand that it's not for Facebook, but if these medicines coming to us, we will ask other organizations, and in critical situations, the MFA and helped us, and the police, the Polish side also accompanied such shipments. So if those are the medications that we don't have in our hospitals, then we also jump in and organize a green corridor. Concerning the sanctions, the penalties, we will refer to the budget periods to avoid their accumulation. So if in 2024 you have a violation, we regulate it together with you, and then we move forward. We don't want the accumulation of such penalties that exceed the amount of the contract. So we need to see clearly where we're going. Thank you. As for the validity of the registration certificate, in fact, we accept the valid registration certificate, and if, as of now, it's valid, we accept it when you submit your tender offer. And it has to be valid at the point of delivery. So if this window after the submission of the application before the delivery is rather broad, but if at the point of delivery you won't have it, then we won't be able to accept it. Now, the questions online. Do you have a list of medical equipment you're planning to procure in 2024? Yes, indeed, we have a list of such equipment. Cyclotrons, this is the largest amount of money. This is also synthesis labs, cyclotron. There are other less costly items. We also launched the consultations, or already have launched it. This is the medical equipment for the Institute of Heart, for the state services. We understand that we require results from the state service medications, and now we understand that sometimes we don't have they don't have the capacities to do that. Usually, this is the similar lab equipment, and if we have for example, we have endoscopes and others. So everybody who's registered in our system, and for consultations if you registered for it. So Maria will be able to provide more details to the question. So the questions from the audience. Then questions online. We have over 200 online participants. Good afternoon. Bogdan Lisowski, Medtronic company. Thank you for the meeting and for providing this opportunity. We definitely looked into the procurement and supply chain processes, but we overlooked the main component, the patient, that the mission is to ensure that the patients are provided for, and the resolution of the CMU, and it's not about price criteria. The largest part of the strategy is the quality of the medical commodities, and the fact that this is the strategic branch to improve the quality of the commodities, and it's not only the period of delivery, and again, the technologies that we had 5 years ago changed, and this is now an urgent question, because on the market among the doctors, we have a lot of complaints from the medical professionals that when they purchase something, and then as a result they receive something else, and then the issue arises. So it's critical to the question of quality check and improvement. So do we have some ISO standards? How do you verify and check the quality of medical equipment? We hoped that the regulation of medical commodities in Ukraine will not concern our activities. And but since there was no magic in these years, and we will have to be involved. In 2023, I talked a lot about non-pricing criteria with our European colleagues, and the interesting thing is they use them just to protect the market from the goods of one big country, famous country, where everything is cheap. And it's interesting to know that we were even better at it. So say CT and all the linear equipment and others, we never allowed some goods that were not up to standards. And if we go a bit lower to the not so expensive commodities, we were thinking about various certificates in the US and the EU. Even the cheap products have them. So, for example, needles and catheters. They still have their quality standards, but it's different on paper and in real life. They used, for example, total cost of ownership, but they are not able to respond to the requests of all law enforcement agencies. I'm not sure whether Ukraine is ready now, but when we're ready, we will definitely launch those non-pricing criteria, because every country again is moving along their own plan, and I'm sure that Ukraine will do a lot to protect the national economy and to support domestic producers. And localization and requirements, again, now we don't have medications there, but I think that you might have to cut the prices, and the national producers will have to increase the quality, because we don't want to give preferential treatment just because of the origin. So, because this is the patient-centered approach. Total cost of ownership was there in the works, but there's a story. When you apply it, you understand who's going to win, and there's only one participant, and this is not okay. And the law enforcement bodies are not ready to do that, because when you're using TCOs, you understand who's going to win. Because unfortunately, we do not have 10 producers of, for example, such products in the world. I'm sorry, the translator, the quality, the speaker is not using the mic. So, for example, in general, to continue with the answer, to comply with the DPT requirement, with DPT requirements, nobody knows in the world how many. New technologies, AI tech can find the necessary information, because some information remains undisclosed. Because when you say that on the market is only open for national suppliers, but again, there can be some medications that are coming abroad. But as we understand, the war, corruption risks, and other factors, all these aspects must be changed, but not just saying that, well, we have this one supplier and we stay with them. This is how we will remain where we are now, and if it's non-pricing, then we're ready. But this specificity that the non-residents, this in Ukraine, you have to have the full picture, and a lot of players do not come into the market because they don't see any point, and that's why they do not respond to you. So increasing the competition will improve the development of both the strategy overall and the national production. So yeah, we have to indicate that there are, in fact, several producers, but we can actually, in reality, have only one. Of course, we don't have the universal formula. As for the medical commodities, how to store them, and we thought about the non-price criteria, about some licensed storage facilities. It's easy to check in Ukraine, but how do we do that abroad? We thought about ISO, the quality of management. And there was a story that when they bought it for 5,000 hryvnias in some institute. So we cannot say that we accept it from the Veritas Bureau, but do not accept from the accredited institution. So we will have to refer to you to take into account your expectations, but it has to be really realistic. We cannot just be proud of using this criteria. Thank you. The question from the online audience. Can you tell us more about the mechanisms of quality control by the supplier? It's an interesting question. It will definitely be in the project of the agreement. So several options. First one, either licensee or we receive the compensation of the expenses, or it's the three-party act where the expenses are the responsibility of the supplier. As for the standards for the agreements of the last year, they were the responsibility of the supplier. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions from the audience? Микола Романюк from Archimed.
Продовжу з приводу нецінових критеріїв для медичних виробів і
One more question about non-price criteria.
аспектів цього питання.
I'd like to clarify some aspects.
Прозоро маркет, я так розумію, що в нас не вистачає одного учасника на сцені.
We have referred to Prozoro market, but it seems that your representatives who's in charge of Prozoro market is not with us at the moment. Well, we know about the decree on medical products, quite simple ones like diapers.
Ми стаємо прямо обличчям до великої проблеми.
We are facing a big problem
Згадали з приводу того, що
mentioned
ми можемо
today many times.
виробом, воно начебто тим виробом
Whatever can be called this product is seemingly that. From the point of view of legislation, such as simple products are not subject to quality control. But this can result in the situation when diapers do not absorb anything, and thus the quality as the philosophic concept degrades completely. So we have a request, please keep this in mind and introduce some quality criteria. I think this won't hurt. And another question in connection with Prozoro market. I'd like to ask about categorization within an individual group. For instance, bandages group. It can be a gauze bandage. It costs 4 hryvnias, and it can be a tubular bandage produced of other materials. It can be technologically difficult, complicated, and it costs much higher, but formally both products are recognized as bandages. So please contact us because we have lots of proposals and ideas to discuss. As for the quality, we are ready to come up with a quick solution discussed with the Ministry of Economy. the qualification of suppliers and adding the products to the list of procurement are not interrelated. In the market, we qualify the participants according to CPV code. We do not know what products will be added by the supplier, and it's the problem of the medical products. We are going to requalify the categories which experience the largest number of complaints from the hospitals. The qualification requirements will be expanded. Thus, we will solve the problem in each individual case. The categorization is another problem. We were not ready in a for addressing this problem from the technological point of view. Previously, we believed that the Ministry of Health categorization is ideal. There is oncology category, cardiovascular category, and so on. And some years ago, we were not confused by the fact that anti-fungi medicine falls in an oncology category, unlike other countries. But it is possible to address this problem from the technological point of view. Line item can be individualized at each stage. For instance, the hospital needs 100 positions. So Prozoro can allow for the participants to request a part. It should be possible to see how soon every part will arrive. We see now that the hospitals add unique positions and so on. Thus, they can address the problem avoiding categorization, but perhaps someday we will introduce the GDNs in Prozoro, but I doubt that it will happen in the nearest 3 years. Thank you. Where will be the mechanism for contesting the contractor's decision on rejecting the proposal? It's difficult problem, and there is an opinion of the Minister of Economy. They wish every decision can be contested on Prozoro, but we would like to get the results. We should have a clear criteria for contesting. If everything is transparent and comprehensive, then there is nothing to contest. The but there should be still an opportunity for contesting after you have submitted the tender documentation. As soon as you win the tender, you will have to see whether you will be your tender will be processed in Prozoro. It will if it's under 133,000 euros. If not, then another system will be used, which has the contesting mechanism. Please wait for the mic. Hello. Will it be possible to contest the contract terms? The contracts will be endorsed by various central executive authorities, and the hospitals won't be allowed to use any other types of contracts. For instance, a legal company gave recently an opinion on the draft contract, which is currently recommended, and it will be strong recommended, and afterwards it may become mandatory. Usually recommendations are not binding. Well, but there are some other types of recommendations. It will be a very strong recommendation. Okay, thank you. A question from online participants about VAT. What about VAT for tenders concluded in 2023? And what about this year? Is it possible to revise the shelf life requirements due to the delivery delay? Indeed, there is such a mechanism when supplier contacts us if there are reasonable grounds. If the shelf life will expire by 70% till the date of delivery, then we can check the terms of delivery. So please contact us, and we can find out certain circumstances. And let's also discuss, let's also generalize the discussions we held with all market participants. I think some of you attended these meetings, these consultations. After communication with Minister of Finance and tax authorities and other stakeholders, we agreed on the consultation results. They will be endorsed by the order of the Ministry of Finance. This generalizing consultation will cover the issue of VAT. VAT can be accounted for as the tax credit, or the supplier can also file a request for VAT compensation. Such a generalized tax consultation will be published on the website of the Ministry of Finance. Since 2018, there have been about 25 consultations of the kind, and as soon as it is published, we will inform all the suppliers. More questions from the audience? We've got just 15 minutes for questions, and then it will be time for panel discussion. Hello, colleagues. My name is Alona from Step Farm. I have also a question about agreements and discriminatory requirements. Unfortunately, these requirements have become common. First, the contractors ignore the contracts that we submit. They don't sign them, and our offers are rejected. There is no supervision authority for e-market. That's the problem. Is it planned to create such authority to protect us from contractors' actions? Since last year, the state auditor's office got the powers to check the procurements. That's the first step. We are aware of this problem, and we communicate with the colleagues from the Ministry of Health. They are also aware. The question is, in what way you worked before? It was a tradition. It's not just because the market has become a must. There is no authority that we can put blame on. Market is a marketplace. It's tool, or it's a platform for you to communicate and agree on the delivery terms with the contractor. The bidding is open. If your goods are rejected, nothing will change. Let's say you won the contract, you formalized the contract, but the hospital refuses to accept your goods. Then you, of course, start the arbitration. In case of market, it's the same. All types of abuses and manipulations should be processed individually. I'm not sure that all hospitals resort to such manipulations. But of course, every perpetrator has the name. So give us the list of hospitals that manipulate and abuse their power. We will be dealing with them at the level of the civil and military administrations. Then certain sanctions can be applied to the hospitals and their management. Such cases did occur before, but they aggravated due to the use of market. You do not have to contest every particular tender. There are general rules of play, but we have nothing against. We know about abuse, and the law enforcement authorities are aware. So, in what way should we report you these abuses? Just send us a letter. We have lots of complaints related to the market, and many participants have similar problems. Thank you. Let's say the company has won a 3-year contract while the registration certificate expires before the end of contract. What about re-registration? It is important for us to have a valid registration certificate at the time of your participation, and then it should be also valid at the time of delivery date and for the period of the medicine circulation. Once you don't have the registration certificate at the time of tender procedure, we won't be able to accept your proposal. You can you can make changes to your current registration certificate if and this won't impact our relationship. But we cannot accept, unfortunately, medicines that have been already submitted for re-registration. Till registration is completed, we cannot accept your proposal. Hello, I'm Yulia from Sandoz company. Let's say the registration number is changed, so the medicine was re-registered under another procedure. Will it be possible to offer this medicine? So please answer this one, and then I'll ask the next. If just the number of the registration certificate has changed, then it's possible to make the amendments to the contract. If the changes are more significant, if it's about specification or the title, then we practice case by case consideration. So we practice individualized approach. That's negotiable. If generally the product has not changed, then it's possible. Okay, I have one more question about the medicine registration. Previously, we had a simplified procedure um, for registration for the purpose of procurement. As far as I understand, this simplified procedure is not applicable this year. Is the Ministry of Health planning to issue new bylaws to resume the previous procedure, or there will be new mechanism in the new iteration of the law? And when are you expecting the draft contracts, and are they going to be published before the market consultations are announced? Thank you for this question. As regards the consultation, the problem is quite interesting. The problem is that the public expert center can provide a positive opinion. However, the Ministry of Health does not issue the order because they do not know about. They're not sure about the deadlines for registration certificates. So this problem can be addressed. We intervened in this situation. We interact with two departments in charge of this order, and we are interested in keeping this procedure in the old iteration. And the second question was about the contracts. We are planning to send the draft contracts together with the presentation from this event. Yes, as you registered, you indicated your emails, so you will receive the presentation. One more question from online participants. When are you going to expand the categories and add the INNs to Prozoro market? How can the producer add the missing medicines? If it's about the medicines, and all of them can be found in the e-catalog, especially mandatory ones. Moreover, now there are two ways to add products to the e-catalog. Over the half of medicines are added by us independently without participation of the suppliers. So there are two ways to add products. These ways are available for suppliers. You have the account, your own account in the e-market, and you can also use the metadata system. There are lots of questions regarding Prozor market. In fact, Prozor market is very simple. It's based on certain logic. The administrators are in charge of the categories, and you have to be qualified. You have to find the respective category and add your products there. Everything is much simpler than you may imagine. Lots of the questions can be resolved by means of your marketplace consultants. So for the mandatory medicines, also that all of them are available in the e-catalog, and not only mandatory ones.
So if the question concerned the medicines that were not mandatory, we start adding them when we finalize all the mandatory categories. But nonetheless, we still have requests when the supplier asks to add their unique commodity. This is the only commodity on the market. It's not particularly honest, so thank you. And the questions from the audience, and then one online, and we will finish. So we will discuss these questions, the panel discussion. So one rhetoric question that I would like to voice, it concerns the quality. I'm interested in your opinion, whether it would be logical in this black and white times in Ukraine to design a package of preferences for producers from the EU and the US so that the money that are donated to Ukraine would be coming back to the economy of those countries. When we have a position, I remember when we just launched it, people were saying, let's give them privileges. But you see, the position is simple. The privileges is the position of the state, but it is unacceptable in procurement. There are companies that provide humanitarian assistance, and they also supply these commodities to Russia, and the prices are lower, and procurement is procurement. And we have wonderful examples in other spheres. So let's avoid doing this in procurement field, because then we will lose our independence, and then because it will result in preferences changing every political season. And the last question from an online participant: when will you launch the tenders for centralized procurement for medication? It's a good question. We need one important document to make a forecast. We hope that the first week in March we will have the passport of the budget program, and we will be able to officially declare the schedule in our procurement calendar. And I'm really happy that we are able to plan it in a more balanced way. You will see all these dates in the calendar. It will be based on the leftovers in the regions. When there are no leftovers, this will be our top priority. Well, if there are, then they will be a bit later. We will be able to announce the first round in spring, when we have for the medications and medical commodities. Thank you very much. At this point, we will finalize our discussion. We will also send you a feedback form for you to leave your comments and questions. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Now you can take your place. And Adem, I will ask you to stay here. We are now moving on to the next section. This is the panel discussion on challenges and opportunities cooperating with the government in the medical procurement. We invited the European Business Association and the American Chamber of Commerce. I invite Elena Satanok, the manager of the Committee for the Healthcare of the European Business Association, Yulia Vychrovska, manager for the strategic development of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We will have 25 minutes for this discussion, and then I'll tell you what's coming next. We know that you have a lot of questions. Some of them were discussed, and hopefully we will provide more details on what business is interested in. So I would like to ask you about your expectations as businesses, 3-year contracts, VAT. So I suggest Yulia start. Thank you for inviting me, for the possibility to ask questions and receive the information I need. Concerning the strategy, I would like to note that our main goal is to see this strategy in place, to see the predictability of the procedures and rules. And we understand that MPU is responsible for the processes, and it's not responsible for everything. So again, predictability, and predictability once again. 3-year contracts are indeed a hot topic, and it was noted every year there will be additional contracts. The amount of shipments will change, and of course the delivery dates. So will it change drastically, or whether there will be limits imposed by the law to avoid a complete overhaul, but to impose some limits so that the suppliers could plan for the future? It's a good question. I'll try to be very quick about the business processes. Some companies that work with us in controlled access agreements know this. We cannot change the budget legislation to adapt it to our needs. So we will have a 3-year contract, but the addendum will be the calendar plan, the amount, and the sum. And so the Treasury register the legal and financial obligations, and now we have the opportunity to register the legal obligations for 3 years, and the passport of the budget program will stipulate that. But unfortunately, since we do not have a 3-year budget in Ukraine, so the monetary obligations are registered for 12 months. So why this additional agreement? This is to stipulate what sum of money is available, what is the amount, whether the exchange rate changes, and this agreement is the document where and we will be registering the obligations for the next period. Concerning the amount, this is our major fight. It's both painful for us just as for the suppliers. We are not a startup. We have 200 employees. It's difficult to change the rules of the game, and hopefully these changes will stay within the 10%. I believe in our victory. I believe that the people will return, and I'm thinking that we will have to do extra procurement, but in case we have some urgent needs and we cannot buy the medicines that if we don't have patients for them. So hopefully these fluctuations will stay within the 10% limit. Thank you. Olena, maybe you have any questions? Yes, concerning the 3-year contracts, I do support Yulia. Again, predictability, and once again, predictability. And we already talked about it, but I would like to go back to those non-price criteria, because this question is very important in procurement of expensive medical equipment, and the total amount cannot be used every time. So maybe it makes sense to look at other pricing criteria, such as the availability of service in Ukraine, the number of engineers in Ukraine, the availability of tools. Because again, if the MRI equipment broke down, then we need to have parts for it in Ukraine, because it's critically important. If it's the repairs, we need to have the assembly regulations and rules. So again, for the expensive equipment that you have in your warehouse, but somehow it's not. It cannot be installed in a healthcare institution. So it would make sense to stipulate it and to purchase it for the medical institution that have the specific facilities for it. But maybe retraining would be useful in this case. But we do understand your comment, but definitely retraining requalification in this case will allow you to get access to the auction. And another comment from me is that you suggested to lower the prices, and businesses would not mind that, but there are only 2 steps, and it's not always possible to do. So if the number of steps was smaller, then it would allow to cut the prices. So I would like to give you the floor for your comments. Prozor has 3 steps, and we do set up the benchmark, and but it's based on the price that is set up. So the total amount dropped by 0.5%. So to be honest, we tried different types of auctions in Ariba. We are aware of one English auction, but there are multiple types in the world. We had one auction that lasted for 3 hours, and the participants told us that there was a blackout. They went to a gas station and they had to stay there to participate in the tender. And if they know what the top price they could provide, and it was interesting how when there were no auctions, and then finally Prozor became active again, and we can talk about nuances. One nuance specifically that may be hard to understand for the market. Whoever provided the best price at the start has the last vote. So it's important to access the system with an honest price, because if the company set up increase the price by 200%. Again, whoever provided the best price at the outset has the last say. And as for the criteria, construction can be the topic of multiple books. The way the hospitals prepare the facilities is a whole story in itself. If we wait for all the technical documentation from the hospitals and until they provide the facilities, then we will distort the situation. So it's impossible to first prepare the facilities and then purchase the equipment. No, first is the procurement of the equipment, and then the facilities. And this is done on this is the cornerstone, because otherwise it would be dishonest. Because at the very outset, the producers could not form a consortium with the construction companies, and then. And if we talk about the non-pricing criteria, we also talk about the servicing, the guarantees, the number of engineers. It's difficult to calculate because Siemens for example, they have their requirements. The other companies, they have their own requirements, but we need to take into account the challenges of mobilization. For example, this is the case for MRI, because the company that are able to prepare the facilities, they have issues because a lot of people are mobilized and they cannot work as fast as they could before. So let's just say that they have 5 engineers when in Ukraine we only have 15 in total. So there may be a situation where the tender will just not happen. So when we are confident that there won't be any artificial limits, but as for the linear equipment, there are like 3 producers in the world, and but we couldn't afford that. When MRI, it was the question of MRI, we talked about total cost of ownership. And then again, it wasn't doable for us. If private hospitals have MRI equipment for 10 years, and then communal hospitals for 3 years because no one services it, and say no one uses helium. So until we break this pattern, until everyone is treating the equipment responsibly, we cannot change the situation. So we need to calculate how much the hospital will spend on servicing this equipment. And total cost of ownership really influences this, how transparent the procedure will be, who will service it. We have one producer and we still have court cases because one of the oblasts did not service the equipment properly and the tube burnt. They did not replace the cable, although it was a requirement to do that annually. And the producer had to replace the tube, which makes up 40% of the total cost of the equipment. So whether it's the producer's fault or the consumers, because they did not follow the technical requirements. So it's hard to cover all the bases. Thank you. Another section, the questions from the business. Prozoro market as a procurement tool. We all know that starting March 1st, all medicines from the national list must be purchased via this platform. And so the businesses voice the issues.
Дійсно, прозоро.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Prozoro market is quite a relevant topic today. One of the challenges is that suppliers can benefit from different opportunities offered by various platforms. Some suppliers are visible, some are not in this or that marketplace, and this is a big problem because this means that the suppliers are not on equal terms with each other. Is there any plans to create a mechanism that would address the problem? Perhaps some marketplace may become mandatory, or some criteria for marketplaces can be introduced for them to ensure the equal opportunities for the healthcare facilities. Of course, I realize it is not possible, it is not realistic for all healthcare facilities to operate via the same marketplace. It's a very good question. Today we've got the representatives of 2 marketplaces, Zakupivli Pro and Yetender. Perhaps we will pass them the floor. Briefly, I will say the following. The system envisages the competition of the marketplaces, and nobody will make any marketplace mandatory, fortunately. This is perhaps the first successful attempt of PPP. I'm very proud of this practice, and nobody has arguments in Ukraine, and we are all partners. It's really cool. Both a hospital and a supplier can operate on voluntary terms. All marketplaces should be characterized by a minimum set of characteristics or features, and if some marketplaces do not comply with this minimum, they can be excluded. Okay, Natalia, over to you. Good afternoon. My name is Natalia Kovalova. I'm from Zakupivli Pro Marketplace. Perhaps your information is not correct. In Prozoro, data are synchronized via the central database and are reflected on all marketplaces in the same way. It is not possible for the supplier to be visible or invisible in this or that marketplace. So maybe you have to adjust the available information. If you've got any questions, please refer your customers to us or to Prozoro. By design, the information is synchronized for the customers to have access to all to the entire information irrespective of the marketplace they operate through. As regards the contractors, as mentioned, the marketplaces compete to get more customers. So we are trying to make comfortable and convenient interfaces to compete with Prozora Market, for instance. So please contact us with your proposals. We are ready to discuss the tools that you would like to see in a particular marketplace. I'm urging contractors to contact the marketplaces they cooperate with and to ask them to add to add the necessary tools. Thank you for your readiness for the dialogue. Thank you for your commitment. Indeed, the companies has already described this problem, and the contractors do not always find it a problem if they do not see all the suppliers. But thank you for your response. Additionally, I'd like to mention that companies do not see all INNs. The same is the case with the contractors. Is it a technical problem or maybe an individual problem? I'll give you an example. The catalog is designed as follows. It isn't possible to announce the proposal unless there is the respective category. Companies often ask to add their products even though their product is already there. In our opinion, product is the title is the name of the medicine and the dosage form. But for the company, the title is important. But very often, new titles are not added because the medicine is just there. And it's also possible to add the comments. Maybe this problem with the missing INNs is relevant for those INNs that are not mandatory. We check the situation very frequently to avoid the situation when it is not possible to procure medicines via e-catalog. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to you for this participation in the online discussion and this offline presence. Let me remind you that we will definitely answer your questions In written form, you will get also the materials, the draft contracts, the links to the video recording, and of course the answers to all your questions. Thank you very much for the interest demonstrated to our event. And a small surprise for you, please do not go too soon, because we have planned some time for networking and for share.